Hello and welcome to Keeping It Real, Staying Alive edition. My official seventh guest, Miss Georgia Verry.
Hello.
Hello.
Good
Hey.
morning.
Well, good evening. It's it's nighttime over here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, it's morning for you. Where are you at exactly? I'm not even sure where you're coming from.
I'm in Melbourne, in Australia.
Melbourne, Australia. And
Yeah.
it's Friday night here in Kearney, New Jersey. What day is it for you?
It's Saturday morning.
It's Saturday morning. We're international. This is an
Yeah.
amazing time in my life. We're broadcasting in 2 different time zones. It's like we're traveling through time right now. It's amazing.
Actually.
Thank you. So let me just get a hold of myself because I'm just excited to have you on the show. I saw your page and your initiative, and I was really amped up about it. It really just is resonating with me and what we're doing out here. So I'm really happy to have you here. And maybe you could tell people a little bit about that, about what you're doing out there, if you don't mind.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess I'll start at the beginning. I started doing martial arts when I was 12. I did karate. Did that for 10 years, and then I progressed into kickboxing and started competing in kickboxing. So now I've had 5 professional fights.
Cool.
I work as an exercise scientist. So I work in clinical back pain. I was really interested in the mental health side of what causes pain. And I had a client who was a psychologist, and he said to me, would you ever teach kickboxing to women with PTSD?
Mm.
And I was like, well, I don't know. I never thought about it. And he was like, okay, well, go and read this book. It's called The Body Keeps the Score.
Hmm.
It's by a researcher called Bessel van der Kolk. And it's about how we can process trauma by moving our bodies and using our bodies. And I can come back and talk about that more. But the book kind of really caught my imagination. And so we started thinking about, could we actually do it? Could we teach kickboxing to women with PTSD? In Australia, for example, 1 in 3 women have been assaulted, and 1 in 5 have been sexually assaulted. And talk therapy is pretty much the only thing available to them, because martial arts seems like such a daunting, intimidating thing to go into doing, and has high potential to re-traumatize people. So what we've created is a trauma-informed kickboxing program. So it's much more focused on what is happening within the body while you're doing kickboxing. What does a trigger feel like? What is the trigger? And how do you respond to that? And we slowly build up, and I can come back and talk about what this is, but we slowly increase their window of tolerance. That's the main goal.
That's amazing. I just want to say that just right off the bat. That's amazing. I have a lot of respect for you for what you're doing. I feel like it's awesome that you're taking kickboxing in this direction, because a lot of people have found like the mental health and the physical health benefits of exercise, and specifically when it comes to martial arts or physical training, they found there's benefits there, but they haven't taken it and used it as a modality for healing and see what we're capable of, what's possible with this avenue. And it could be so beneficial to so many people who don't have it yet. And you're one of those people who is like kind of pioneering this journey that can have such a huge effect on so many lives. So thank you for being yourself and doing what you're doing, and much respect out there. And now I'll let you carry on, by the way.
Carry on. Yeah, I suppose everyone listening, if they don't know what a window of tolerance is, maybe give me a shout if you do know or you don't know. But I might just explain it, assuming that we're all beginners. Because I think that's a good mindset to have. So the window of tolerance is essentially your capacity to take in information. So when you're inside what you call your window of tolerance, call it here to here, you can integrate new information and make a logical decision to respond to that. So maybe you're within your window of tolerance and somebody walks past you and looks at you funny. Your average person's just going to be like, okay, he's having a bad day, and keep walking. Someone who's experienced trauma might see that, and it might be because that person reminds them of their attacker, or it might just be that they are hypersensitive to people who are looking at them funny, or just all males. It can come in many shapes and sizes, but their window of tolerance is very small. So they quickly go outside their window of tolerance, and then they can't make a rational decision to respond to that just by brushing it off. They're gonna essentially freak out.
Because that's a trigger. They're triggered.
Exactly. Yeah, they're triggered.
Yeah.
So they might respond by getting really angry and wanting to fight the person. That's much less common. More likely, they might want to run away or like curl up into a ball, or they might freeze. So completely dissociate from their body, just have like an out-of-body experience, just seem really spacey, something like that. So trauma-informed therapies, so somatic experiencing, body-based psychotherapy, similarly trauma-informed yoga, dance, acting, all those modalities focus on helping people explore the edge of their window of tolerance and try to increase it.
Right, through repeated exposure and slow, gradual steps, right, to integrate them into that, a more natural, more relaxed experience when they do still experience those external triggers, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the emphasis is really on going slow.
Yeah.
If we're going too fast, we're going to push it outside your window of tolerance. And so the beneficial thing, it comes from being on the edge, but still inside of it. As soon as we go outside of your window of tolerance, that's re-traumatizing.
Right.
So we're looking at, working inside it all the time.
Just to add to that for a moment, I've had people contact me about what we're doing here and say that they didn't want to be involved because it re-triggered. They've tried like boxing and it re-triggered them. So they just were completely not about the experience. They didn't want to put that risk again. But that's why I think it's so cool that you're informed and that you're able to use your knowledge to help make a program where you can gradually help them back. Because maybe that avenue, maybe this physical outlet, having that kickboxing class is just what that person needs. And this, no one's been able to give them an informed approach before. So that's really cool. Again. So.
I mean, like what you guys are doing has a lot of crossover, yeah?
Yeah.
So one of the really important things for people with trauma or any mental health issues is it's invitational. You can tune into the live if you want to. You can turn your computer off at any point, or your phone off at any, whenever you want. You don't have to do it. So if something's feeling uncomfortable, you have permission to stop.
Yeah.
And that's our core premise, and yours too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I was going to say, we always ask people to check in with themselves. Check in with yourself, see how you're feeling, and work to your skill level, challenge yourself to where you're comfortable with. But we do ask them to challenge themselves. We just don't want them to push past their comfort, too far out of their comfort zone to where they'll get anxiety and experience those other symptoms. So it is invitational. It's always open. We also break each session into 3-minute rounds with 1-minute breaks in between. And I tell people, even if you only do one round for the day, even if it's only 3 minutes, mark that down as a day of progress, a day of success. Keep it in your calendar and come back the next day with consistency. And over time, you'll be able to gradually increase and grow and see that personal growth in your life. And you'll be able to do more and more and more. So very cool. There's a lot of similarities between It sounds like, between what we're doing out here.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
I think because we've got like yours is mental health and depression, and obviously there's a lot of crossover between that and trauma. But trauma typically starting from a specific event or a series of events means there's more likely to be triggers involved. Whereas if you're shadowboxing to beat depression, depression can come in for a variety of reasons.
yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So for that reason, another part of us being trauma informed is that we put out the content always before the sessions. So women watch the content and they check in with themselves privately and they say, is this triggering for me? And if it is, then we have a conversation about it and we work out what's going to be your grounding strategy if that is going to trigger you, or do you need to completely sit out from that for now? What's going to work best for you? What's going to make you feel safe?
That's awesome. Awesome. So I want to move into why. Your why. I want to connect people with your why, because I think it's so important that people recognize it's not just that you're building a business, it's not just that you're creating a movement, but it's more about who you are as a person. When they connect with you and your passion or that genuine side, that's what your why should be. So I'd like to connect them with your why now. Maybe you can share with us why it is that you've chosen to do this.
Yeah, so because I grew up doing combat sports, I think I had this undertone of confidence that I carried with me throughout my life. And in training, I encountered a lot of women who didn't have that. And it really broke my heart because I was like, dude, you're an amazing, badass chick. Like, you're doing all these cool-ass things in your professional life and your personal life, and you just don't back yourself. And so I started working, one-on-one with some women that I was friends with. And I just found it so rewarding when they got to move past that self-doubt and into like that empowered state that like, yes, I can do this. And so I started to build up like this amazing group of girls who, if any of them are watching this, like they know they mean the absolute world to me. And I had a fight last year and I lost it. And afterwards, when like I was covered in black eyes, I was thinking about like how blessed I was to have all these people around me and how important the martial arts community is to me. And I was thinking, how many people there are that have no community. And I was like, it's just so unfair that only the brave ones who feel confident enough to even walk through the door of a combat sports gym get to access that. And so I became obsessed with like, how can I make a community that's accessible to all women? And that's when then when I met that psychologist and we started to break things down, I was like, holy shit, this is actually where it crosses over. These are the walls that some people have up, and this is how I can personally help break them down. And so now I think that every woman should be, one, a part of an amazing community of other empowering women that lift her up, and two, know that her body is capable of fighting. And I would put a caveat in that 70% of women, when they are raped, will freeze. No matter how high level they know how to fight. MMA fighter, it does not matter. Your body wants to survive and it will play dead in order to do that. So this isn't about you should know how to fight better so that if you're attacked you can fight someone off. This is much more about just knowing that your body has the capacity to fight. It does have other options. So that even though you froze then, you can still fight back now. Your body is still capable of fighting back now. More than capable. And it feels good. And knowing that your body is capable of feeling good too.
It's empowering.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're empowering women. That's awesome.
That's it.
That's awesome. That's amazing. I feel you on the community too. Just to touch on that briefly, I had an experience where I lost a tremendous amount of my social support. I lost a tremendous community. And I had very little to support me. And when I started getting into martial arts, I found that community again. So I can totally relate to that feeling of just instantly when you start training with somebody, you're working together, you're building each other up, and you're there for similar goals. You want to make progress, you want to get stronger together. And having that supportive community has been an amazing blessing to like my mental health. It's definitely accelerated my growth, accelerated my personal progress, and also the feeling of empowerment from learning how to master new moves and techniques, and then being able to execute them with force and precision, and just having that overall, that martial arts experience it's so beneficial. And I'm so glad that there's so many people that are taking it in different directions and helping different groups of people, because one of the biggest things for me that I talk about with others is that the bag is way more powerful and way more beneficial to people who need it for mental health issues. There's a much larger group of people who can benefit from it when it comes to mental health than there is for fitness or fighting or competition, because it's such a good, it's a healing modality. And depression and anxiety are an epidemic. You know the statistics around women, and that is a serious problem, and it's something that needs to be addressed, and this is a way to address it right now. So yeah, it's powerful work, it's effective. I haven't taken a class, I'm not a woman, so I can't relate to all of the different avenues, but I can totally see the value in it, and I really do. I'm really glad you're doing it, and that's cool that it's your genuine passion, that you felt that in yourself, that you enjoyed seeing people grow and make progress and empower themselves. I feel that. I see that in my line as well when I see a student progress and just right off the bat start to learn technique and build that confidence in themselves and then start to take control of their lives. It's an amazing, fulfilling feeling that I haven't gotten from anything else. So I can relate to what you're feeling out there when you see that with your students as well. So cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The community in martial arts it's like next level. There's no other group where, no matter what country in the world you're in, you know, I've traveled and trained in gyms, and you walk in and straight away, like, you're part of the family, and it's literally a family. And part of that comes from this high level of trust. You know, I'm going to trust you to hold pads for me, and you're not going to take my head off. I'm going to trust you in sparring, and you're not going to take my head off. And I'm going to be vulnerable in front of you, and I'm going to try things that I know that I'm not good at yet, and I'm going to fail in front of you. You know, it's just straight away this high level bonding.
Yeah, there's so many psychological aspects that most people aren't even aware of when they're going through them, but it has that cumulative effect to make just your life better, just enhance joy, enhance support, and general contentment, general peace, and also your tolerance to the world around you, because you're building mental toughness. That's one of those things.
Exactly, yeah. So, mental toughness is pretty much just another way of saying the window of tolerance.
Yeah.
And I think it doesn't just relate to people who have suffered trauma too. You know, if you're thinking like, oh, I haven't suffered trauma, therefore, like, I don't need to think about my window of tolerance, you can have a look on my page and see that I've overlaid the inverted U hypothesis with the window of tolerance. So I'm a sports scientist, so I guess I'm kind of like a data nerd. But we know that the more aroused you get, as in like the more excited and like, you know, hyped up that you're getting, the better your performance gets, until you reach a point where you get too hyped up, and then it starts to fall back down. So that kind of a curve is called an inverted U hypothesis. And if you overlay it with the window of tolerance, you see that when you're right in the middle of your window of tolerance, that's when you can do your best performance. So if you're a fighter and you're thinking like, well, how can I have better performances? Well, you need to learn also where is your window of tolerance and how do I stay within that? Because that's when I can make good decisions when I'm fighting. You know, I'm not just fighting emotionally and trying to pull someone's head off. You know, I'm thinking about like tactically, what am I doing? that's just one example of why it's important to stay within your window of tolerance in life. And then
Very cool.
obviously, either side of that, that's hyperarousal and hypoarousal. So you're either, too either freaked out and so you've shut down, or you're not engaged. And then on the other end, hyperarousal, you've just totally blacked out, like you're way too hyped up and therefore totally unable to perform.
It sounds very, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, go.
It sounds very similar to the flow zone, to the state of flow, mental flow. Is it? It's very similar.
Yes, the state of flow being like this kind of a graph. I know I was also going to overlay that over the top. And then I was like, oh, it's getting too busy, but they're all the same thing.
Yeah. Because if you push yourself too hard, you wind up in anxiety, and then that hurts your performance. So it's just the same thing. If you get too excited and too activated, then your performance suffers because you start pumping too much stress hormone, your body starts, freaking out and you can't focus. But if you keep it at the right level where you're challenging yourself and you're just working through it and you're kind of thinking through and focused and you're having fun, fun is part of the flow zone, your performance increases exponentially. You get so many extra benefits. We have a chart on flow zone on our page with a bunch of benefits there, just mental performance and physical performance and overall output. Your output just increases. So that's really cool. I'm learning through this interview too. So thank you for bringing what you're bringing.
The thing about flow is that like the areas of the brain that are lit up during it are the ones that can integrate bodily sensation as well as cognition. So you're experiencing what's happening to you in real time. Obviously, like you lose sense of a track of time because you are physically present. And like the effects of that have benefits for your like heart health, even spending more time in a flow state. But also learning how to regulate yourself. So learning when you go to that point where you are so stressed out that you leave flow, being able to bring yourself back into flow state is a skill within itself. And that's one of the main things that we look at cultivating is noticing what happens in your body before it becomes overwhelming. It might be that you get a feeling just here in your throat, or you start to feel a bit of a tingling sensation, or, for everyone it's going to be totally different. But you'll have some little tell before you're totally overwhelmed. And that's the time to bring in grounding strategies to return to your body, and then you can re-enter flow state.
I want to touch on flow state one more time, just really quick. When you're in that flow zone, that's one of the spots when you're training where you can't experience the effects of mild to moderate anxiety and depression. Both of those things no longer exist when you enter that flow zone. If you're suffering from clinical severe depression, then you have to, please seek help. If you're out there, please seek help. Talk to a doctor, talk to a therapist. Go through those steps so you can get yourself to a position where you can help yourself. But once you're there, if you're in that mild to moderate category, which is a lot of us, a tremendous amount of people, and you can get yourself into that flow zone, you can be at total peace in there. It's amazing. It's like a euphoric experience going through the motions and growing and not having to feel those effects that a lot of us struggle with all the time. So just wanted to mention that. And then to get back to what you were saying, you're saying you have different ways for people to ground themselves and get present and get back into body, right? Get back into the moment. And if you're cool with it, we like to share mental health tools on this program that people can use. And I feel like that's a good segue. Would you like to share a mental health tool that you use?
Yeah. So I guess I took the whole grounding idea and I've got to apply it a number of times in an incredibly stressful situation, which is stepping into the ring, which is terrifying. And it's just constantly over and over again of your brain being like, don't be an idiot, don't go in there. And then you're like, oh no, I can do it. No, I can't do it. I can do it. I can't. So I had to find a grounding strategy that works for me in that context. So what I do, it's best barefoot, but it doesn't have to be. So if you can feel the ground with your toes, that's best. But if you can also feel the inside of your shoe, that's totally fine. You can close your eyes because we want to cut off, extra senses coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to pay attention to your feet. And just think about which one feels heavier.
Oh.
Maybe it's your left, and then you'll pay attention to that. And then
I'm going to give it a shot right now as you're talking.
Yeah. If the audience will want to try.
Yes, anyone out there, feel free to try this right now as well. So just start us over. I'm sorry I interrupted.
Let's go. Yes, all good. All right, so everyone, we're going to close our eyes. Take a couple breaths. And just pay attention to your feet. You can wiggle them around. Feel where the border of your shoe is. You can feel what the texture of the floor feels like. And now I want you to ask yourself, which foot feels heavier? Maybe it's your left. Maybe it's your right. Just take some time to notice. And now we're going to reassess which foot feels heavier. Maybe it changed. Maybe it didn't. And now you can slowly open your eyes, keeping your attention on your feet. Should still feel grounded. And now we've broken that self-doubt for long enough just to be like, okay, let's go.
Wow, that's awesome. That is awesome. That's really cool. We're just tuning into our body. It's completely body.
Exactly.
Right? That's great. It was my left, in case anyone's wondering out there. My left foot. Way heavier. I don't know why, but wow, that was really cool. Thank you so much. Would you call that just grounding? Would you call it just a grounding technique, or you call it something else?
Yeah, I would just call it grounding.
Grounding, okay.
In the literal sense of the term.
Yeah.
It makes you feel anchored to the ground.
That's very cool.
There is also really good research around doing that while you're outside. So putting your feet into nature is like an extra kind of level to it. Obviously, that's another context. Able to just go out into nature whenever you're kind of freaking out. But yeah, there's lots of cool spin-offs.
There's a comment coming in from Luminaries. Switched. She said, yeah, yours switched. Mine started, switched, and then went back to the left while we were thinking about it. So is that normal? Are we okay?
I don't know. I think, yes, yeah, totally normal.
Totally normal.
The thing with the heavy, paying attention to which one, is that because you're trying to ascertain something, it's almost impossible for your mind to be wandering at the same time as that. You really can't, at the same time as thinking which feels heavier, also be thinking I feel anxious.
Yeah.
That might come back in 3 seconds later, and that's cool, but we disrupted it for long enough for you to be able to separate yourself from that and say, I'm feeling anxious, not I am anxious, and therefore that's totally swallowed me and I can't function anymore. You might come back and say, I'm still feeling anxious, but I'm going to do the scary thing anyway.
Yeah, that's an awesome technique. It shows you how much power you have to take yourself out of those thoughts. A lot of us get overwhelmed by those thoughts and feelings, and to just bring your focus into your body, into the moment, and recognize that those things went away for that moment. It was like the only thing that mattered was which foot was heavier. I was trying to figure it out. It took all my focus, and nothing else mattered at that moment. So just showing us that we have that power and control, that's so cool. And that's something anybody can do at any time, anywhere you are. If you're in the middle of a flight and you're feeling nervous, right? You could just tune into your body and really hone in on that foot, figure out which one's heavier, and you can alleviate yourself of those feelings. And if they come back, recognize that they're temporary and they're just feelings, right? That's you present and alive, grounded, is not the same as you worried. Those are just temporary feelings passing through, and that helps you get that observational viewpoint, that kind of like that third person, to where we can let those things pass and we don't get overwhelmed by them. So,
yeah, absolutely. Most of the time, like Luminaries Life and Sports is saying, to help us stop overthinking. I think that's a really beautiful way of putting that. Most of the time, our thoughts are caused by our body. So in the context of a fight, that's a pretty real stimulus that might be scaring you. But I don't know about anyone else, but day to day, sometimes I'll just be driving my car and I'll be like, I feel anxious. I have no reason to, but just sometimes throughout the day, our body sends us signals, and then we want to attribute thoughts to that. So it might start with, there's some tightness in my chest. Then you assign an emotion to that. I feel anxious. Then you decide, the reason I'm feeling anxious must be, I don't know, because my partner doesn't love me enough. Whatever it might be. Nobody likes me. You'll make up a reason, because we're logical beings. We don't want to think that we just have feelings for almost no reason. And it's
but
not
we do.
No reason. Yeah,
we do have feelings sometimes for no reason.
It's not no reason. I mean, the reason is most of the time that it's a habit. Our bodies learnt to feel those things frequently, and we probably learnt them when we were 2. Right? That's the whole point of, even though maybe you haven't been through severe trauma, most of us learnt things about love and relationships when we were young that we've held on to, and that have become patterns and part of our personality.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with us, but our bodies are addicted to some of those survival strategies of feeling scared, things like that. And so they'll bring them up. And just randomly, that's why you'll suddenly feel anxious. And if you can sit with it, come back to your body, which foot's heavier, notice that it's actually just an emotion that's happening to your body. It doesn't have a thought attached to it. And you choose not to attach a thought to it, that's when it's going to pass.
That's freedom right there.
That's it.
Good stuff. That was so cool. Thank you so much for that. A couple comments coming in.
Much love.
Much respect. Thank you. And to Vic, thanks for sharing, to using these moments of anxiety. You're welcome, Vic. And thank you for being yourself out there. Vic wrote a book on being kind to yourself and being kind to others. So
I love that.
Check that out if you get a chance. But also, just to go back for a moment, you had mentioned a book earlier. What was the name of that book you were talking about?
The Body Keeps the Score.
The Body Keeps the Score. Okay. Very cool.
It's a very easy read. Uses lots of examples of patients that are going through a lot of these body-based trauma responses, and essentially talks about how talk therapies are ineffective.
Yeah. Because talk therapies can re-trigger you as well for some people.
Yeah, I shouldn't say talk therapies are ineffective, but it's really important to talk about what's happening to you, and my DMs are always open. I know your DMs are always open if anyone wants to get anything off their chest. That's one thing. But saying to somebody, tell me what happened, and then they tell you, and their body re-experiences all the awful things that happened, it's not good for them. So we need to start looking at, what are you feeling in your body? And either acting that out, or helping shift attention, or putting the attention on the body and therefore letting it dissipate. And then we can start to talk about what happened and make sense of it.
Yeah, that's the difference between the talk therapy and the somatic healing experiences, right? Mm-hmm. Where you're doing things physically, or you're using the breath, or you're using your body to kind of heal yourself. How can people access your program? How about that?
Yeah, so shoot me a message. On Instagram, if it's easy, send me a DM. Follow us along to get updates. At the moment, we're trying to coordinate time zones a bit, so it's easiest with the Australian people that I know through the psychologists that I work with here. If I get enough people in the States keen in a group, then I can put on like their time zone session. Because, yeah, obviously, like, it's Friday night there and Saturday morning here. But for more information, we have a podcast too. So it's the Fight Back podcast.
Where can we find that? On Spotify or?
Spotify, iTunes, everywhere you find the podcast.
Okay.
If you're searching on Spotify, though, you will need to search by the episode titles instead of the name of the podcast. Spotify is really confusing like that. But Apple Podcasts, just search the Fight Back podcast.
Apple did it better. There you go. We're not even endorsed.
Who would have thought? Yeah, and then we're on Facebook as well as the Fight Back podcast. On here as Fight Back podcast. But yeah, just if you want to get involved and you want to try the program, shoot me a message. I'm totally open to working with, you know, any kind of availability that people have, any kind of budgets that people have. I really just want everyone to reach out and talk to me. I know COVID's been super, super hard on everybody. So, like, yeah, anything that I can do for women that want to get involved with this, or dudes, if you're listening to this, if there's a woman that you know who needs to hear this, please share this with her or let me know and I'll reach out to her. 'Cause, like I said, this is just such important work that, you know, we're all doing. And
yeah, absolutely.
It's a community.
Absolutely.
It's a community-based effort. So
that's it. And we're trying to build that community as much as we can globally out here. I mean, I'm starting now in my town and surrounding towns. But we're planning on the 13th. I'm going to be leaving and punching my way across America to raise awareness about this healing modality. And I'm meeting up with Greg Wooten. I don't know if you know him. He's a 2-time Muay Thai world champ out in California. We're going to be training together, raising awareness, working with gyms along the way. I'll be broadcasting a live show every day as I travel, linking up with as many places as possible. And then after we cover America, then I'm going to be traveling. So maybe we can link up. I'll be in your actual time zone, right? We can link up and work together. And of course, even before that happens, I'm very happy to collab if you'd ever want to collab on anything. Such important work that you're doing, and much respect for that 100%. Out there.
For all the guys that are following along this idea, like, it is catching on Wednesday. So that will be your Tuesday evening. An episode on my podcast is going to come out as an interview with Sean, who is a mindful martial arts instructor in Canada. So they have trauma-informed martial arts there. And next week, the week after that, we're also going to be chatting to a researcher from Canada who has a government-funded program for trauma-informed boxing.
Wow, that's awesome.
They're sinking hundreds of thousands of dollars a year into doing trauma-informed boxing. They have a gym that's completely free for people to rock up to and come and hit the heavy bags no matter what they've done, you know, no matter what's happened to them. It's an understanding space that also provides, like, clothes and food. And
that is amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. In Holland, they're doing research at the moment looking at victimization and other issues associated with sexual assault. And they've got a program called Beat Vic, which is a kickboxing program to help fight that. So there is an underswell where people like you and me and other researchers, like, we know that this is a real thing. And, like, guys like you just, like, going across America and spreading awareness. In 5 years, like, this is going to be massive. This is progress. Trauma-informed yoga. Yeah.
We're all making progress out here. And I think it's amazing. We're all working for the same team, Team Human. That's what we're calling it. So cool. Let's just address some of these comments. I think there's a lot of comments coming in here.
Yeah.
And we got thank yous, and some kinds of therapies help to travel inside, but in a subjective way. not about the body, but mentality. That's true. Yeah, there are a lot of different types of therapies, a lot of different ways to heal. Thank you for that. And Karate Unity, that's Chris Hansen, my buddy out there, Karate Unity. He said, this is an ultimate resource you guys are building and sustaining. One love. Absolutely, Chris. It's all about love, self-love first, and then love for others, because we're all, moving in the same direction.
Absolutely.
And Matthias said it's important to have this kind of meditation. Yeah, yes, it is, absolutely. Self-control. Yeah. We have a lot of control that we don't even know about until somebody comes along and lets us know it's there. Like Matthias said, self-control is something we really should be taught about. I'm learning every day. There's new ways that we can take control of things that I thought were automatic in life, like tapping in, bypassing our nervous system and what our thoughts are telling us, and just getting rooted and grounded. It's amazing. This is amazing stuff.
Absolutely. We have like a reptilian brain. That's our oldest brain, and it's really good at responding automatically, because that was what helps us survive. But now it's trying to do that too often. But the really cool thing is that our brains are so high powered. Like, we can spend much more time using our neocortex, our modern brain, to think about things and to react to things, and to notice when we're doing things automatically when we don't want to be. Sometimes it's handy. You don't want to have to be able to consciously think about driving a car all the time you're driving a car. You want to be able to sing along to Britney Spears while you're driving,
How'd you know? How did you know? Yeah, absolutely. There's so much that I don't know. That's one of the things I've learned a lot in life. As a lesson is that no matter how smart you think you are, how much you think you know about yourself even, or about how things work, there's always so much more. There's way more to learn than I even have time to learn in one lifetime. So that always kind of keeps me humble when I think about my interaction with others, when I bring guests on the show. I'm coming in with my healing modality. I know something about this. I know it's working for me and working for others, but there's so much more for me to learn. And I'm really happy to learn what you're doing, what others are doing. And then we can work together, and I can incorporate that in some way or form into what I'm doing. And it makes everybody's program more effective. So
yeah, you got that growth mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. That growth mindset's so important. So important.
Yeah, there's a book called The Growth Mindset by Carol Dweck. You know what? I highly recommend that book as well.
Got it. Another good read. And let's just touch on some of these comments again. Shout out to Ruben for tuning in. Luminary said, the beautiful thing about both of you is for those suffering, it is definitely making a difference between life and death, which is, yeah, that's, I know it's hitting you. It hits me hard. That's that sense of fulfillment. That's that sense of knowing that this is much bigger than us, and it's about something so important. This is all I want to do for the rest of my life. This is all I'm going to do for the rest of my life, and I'll find a way, to make it work, because it's not only saving my life every single day, it's saving other people's lives. So thank you for that comment. That is the kind of thing that fuels my passion and lets me know that, that we're doing the right thing out here. So thank you so much for that feedback. Got me in my feels out here. And Karate Unity, let's just move on so I don't get emotional. Karate Unity said, most important thing is self-regulation. Absolutely. He also ordered a shirt. Thanks for the support, man. I appreciate that. And Vic said, if you stop growing, you stop living. Yeah, absolutely. If you stop growing, you fall behind, There's no reason to stop growing, ever. There's always room for more growth. And that growth is progress. And that progress is success, because there's always room to grow. We're never all the way there. We can keep growing, and it just gets better and better and better. So that's how we measure success out here, by growth.
That's it.
Man.
Intelligence is nothing to do with emotional intelligence. I think having emotional intelligence is more different than everything. Yeah.
It's
Hard to
definitely
know
difficult.
within yourself what you need to work on, because your brain automatically wants to think that like nothing's wrong with what you're doing, right? Because it's what you've always been doing. Well, our adult brain does. Our child brain thinks everything's wrong with us, and nothing's wrong with anybody else.
Yeah, those childhood ideals. Those are
Yeah.
those are big. I think I smashed a lot of mine way later than a lot of other people, but I'm so glad that I did, because it led to more growth, it led to more progress, led to finding out what's good for me, what's my avenue. Oh, I lost her.
There we go. We're back. We're back.
You're back. Yeah, I was just saying, childhood ideals are not based in reality, so when we break them, we're doing a huge service to ourselves and others around us.
Definitely.
And we're almost out of time, so I think we're gonna call it there.
Yeah,
But
we're gonna go training.
yeah, you're going. I'm done training for the day. I got my rounds in right before this, actually. So I'm feeling great. I feel amazing. Good luck on your journey, and thank you so much for being here, for being a part of this and helping add value to what we're building out here. I'm looking forward to working together on something in the future as well. So keep in touch, definitely.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me.
You got it. Take care, everyone. Catch me same sack time, same sack channel, same sack life. Sack man out.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.